Hey guys, so there's been a pretty horrible terrorist attack in Mogadishu, Somalia. Close to 300 people have died, and the death tolls will probably rise. People believe that it is al-Shabaab, which has perpetrated this, either them or, al-Qaeda or something, which they are like an offshoot of them anyways. But yeah, it's pretty fucking horrible, and the media is covering it, but there's always a difference when it happens in the Middle East and northern African countries, etc., than when it happens in Western countries, right? Everybody can tell that there's way less coverage. They make way less of a deal about it. And a lot of the people, they see this and they say it's because of racism, white supremacy. Europeans just don't really care as much about what goes on in these countries, and that's partially true. I think that generally we care more about people that look like us, and this is just kind of biological. But I think the media doesn't really cover this as much that they do in Western countries because they can't really use it as much, right? Like when it's a bunch of Muslims killing a bunch of Muslims in another country, they can't really use it to suppress the rights in Western countries. So they'll mention it, but there's very little that they can use it with. Whereas when a terrorist attack happens in Western countries, and especially if it's like a white dude, they're going to come out with all their anti-white rhetoric. They're going to come out with gun control shit. They're going to come out with all these laws that they're going to try to implement to, uh, you know, censor the population or restrict their rights in some ways. But when it's happening in other countries, it's a lot harder for them to do that, right? And even when it's a Muslim who kills a lot of people in Western countries, they try their very best to say it's not all Muslims. It's just part and parcel of living in a big city, right? So they try to downplay it as much as they can and even try to blame it on Western people anyways, like Trump, or, oh, it's because there's not enough Muslims in movies, or it's because of the racism, or it's because of this, and it's because of that. So it's very hard for them to use it when it's happening in other countries. So I don't believe necessarily that's because of white supremacy, that we don't care about it, and this and that, but it's harder for the media to use necessarily, right? And they also work with the government too, so maybe sometimes they don't want to draw attention to things that maybe the government supplied these terrorists with weapons or in the past, and they don't want people to look too deeply in it because they'll see that maybe they actually help cause these things. But yeah, that's why I think generally is why it's not being covered as much, because it's just harder for them to use, against the population in Western countries. So they're gonna mention that's about it. But it's horrible what happened, and my heart goes out to these people. That's horrible. 300 people have died, and that's, imagine if that happened in Western countries, how people would be freaking the fuck out. And this happens a lot in Middle Eastern countries. The majority of deaths from Islamic attacks are from happen in Middle Eastern countries and happen to Muslims. So we should remember that and help these people out if we can. But that's all I pretty much had to say. If you like my content, subscribe. Have a good day.